Hi everyone. So in today's video, we will learn about the basic architecture of the Kubernetes. So what happens most of the time if you are appearing for an interview or if you are starting with the Kubernetes itself. So we are just covering the Kubernetes to talk, correct? So if you are appearing for the interview, so that's the basic and the most often questions comes into your interview, that what's the architecture of the Kubernetes, correct? And how this master slave architecture works, what are the components of the master node or the control plane, what are the components of the your slave node, correct? So all these questions comes into your interview as well. And they then the interviewer might ask about these particular components of the master and the worker node as well, and the associated questions, correct? So we will be talking here about the Kubernetes architecture. So this is the kind of architecture. The Kubernetes itself work on the master and the slave architecture. And if you can see on my screen, the master, it is called as a master or the control plane both. And it has the four components. It has the API server, then the second component is etcd. Then there is a third component called as a controller manager. And then the fourth component is the scheduler. So what are the work of all these API server, etcd, controller manager, and the scheduler? So let's understand first. So API server is a kind of API call, correct? So whenever you run your kubectl commands, like I have to interact with my Kubernetes cluster, or if you are running your cluster on the EKS service of the AWS, correct? So if you are interacting with the cluster, you will be writing API calls, you will be creating deployment file, you will be creating services, you will be creating config maps. So all these creations are happening through one of the API calls, correct? In the at the backend, it's the all API calls which are being made, correct? So this API server is responsible for making a API call, and it's also responsible for updating your etcd, correct? So this one is also responsible for updating your etcd. So it update your etcd. So what is the etcd here? Etcd stores the cluster details. So whatever the cluster you have created, like you have created your cluster name as production, correct? So it's the production cluster. So it will store the name of the production cluster, then the deployment files, like how many number of deployments you have created, how many number of pods are running, how many number of services are running, how many number of your secrets has been created. So all these details are being stored. So it's a kind of database. etcd is a kind of database which stores whole of the cluster state, all the configuration, and the format of the storing the data is the JSON format. So it stores all the details in the key pair value in the JSON format, and this update in this etcd happens through the API server only, correct? And there are other components who are also responsible, but mainly the API server does the final update in the etcd. Then there is a third component called it as controller manager. So what does this controller manager does? Controller manager is a kind of manager, as the name itself suggests. It's manages things. So when we launch a cluster, we run a deployment. So we ensure that for a particular deployment, five number of pods should run, correct? And somehow it happened that one of the pod got deleted, or two pod got deleted, or someone deleted, or I willingly deleted that particular two. So in my deployment file, I have said that five number of pods should run at the same at one time, and two pods has been deleted. So controller manager will check for the state, and it will see that, oh, the three pods are only running, two of the pods has been deleted. So it will invoke this replica set, and it will launch the two more pods. And when it will see that, yeah, the desired state has matched with the current state, then this API server will again update the etcd that it has been matched, correct? So that's the work of the controller manager. We will see it theoretically as well. And then there's a scheduler. What does this scheduler do? A scheduler is responsible for scheduling your pods to a node. Just suppose that I have a pod which uh, which is a particular label, and my node has a particular label. Like, just suppose that this is the pod for the production environment, and I want that the every pod which is of the production environment should be uh, scheduled to the node which has 5 GB of memory available, correct? So it's the production one. So these pods will be only specifically scheduled to that particular node. So this can be achieved with multiple options as well. In the Kubernetes world, we can have the tension relation, we can the pod affinity, pod anti-affinity that we can implement. But a scheduler is basically responsible for scheduling your services over the nodes. Correct. So based on the resources, what is available to that node. So that kind of thing, scheduler does. Apart from this master control plane, there is a slave. So the slave, it can be understood like, if I get here. So just suppose that this is the slave, correct? So slave also has the three components. If I Sorry, slave has three components, and it has like, if I say, so just suppose that there is a one component here. So slave has one component called that, what will I say? It can be called as kubelet. Kubelet. Then there is another block which is called as kube proxy. So it will be called as kube proxy. And then there is another component called it as a container runtime. So that you can call. Correct. So let me put one more block here, and it will be called as container runtime. That's the name. So these are the three components which comes into the slave architecture. So what does the kubelet does? Kubelet checks for the status of the pod, whether it's running or not. So if it's getting terminated, it will transfer the, so it will update the etcd that it has been terminated, and it will ensure that kubelets are running. The containers within the pods are also running. So that's the kubelet work edge within the slave architecture. And what is the kube proxy? So kube proxy is basically responsible for the networking part, correct? So if you are creating your services, if you are creating your ingress, so how all these traffic will be routed up to the pod and the container, correct? So there should be some networking. Or if your multiple services within the one namespace or multiple namespace has to interact with each other, correct? It has to make API call, it has to get the response, then it has to pass to some another service. So all this kind of networking is being handled through the kube proxy. Then there is a container runtime. This one is used for running your container. So whatever the requirement is there to run your container, to run your application, so that is being served through the container runtime. So let's get the theoretical concept from the ChatGPT here. You can and just have a look on that. So this is a Kubernetes flow master worker architecture with clearly defined components. These are the control planes. That's the master node, and within this control plane, as we talked here, so this particular page was the control plane or the master plane. Correct. Within this, there is a API server, acts as the front end of the Kubernetes cluster. You can either have a tool to manage your Kubernetes cluster, K8 lanes or the open lanes. Then you can make API calls with the help of kubectl. It updates the cluster state in the etcd database. That is also an important point to remember. Correct. All the interaction with the cluster go through the API server. Then there is a etcd, distributed key value store, as the cluster database. It stores all configuration and state data, pod details, node information, everything. Then there is a controller manager. It manages all like the node controller or the replication controller. We basically talked about the pods. So it's the replication controller, endpoint controller, and the job controller, correct? Then there's a scheduler which assigns the pod to a node. So assign pods to node based on the resource requirement, constraint, and scheduling policy, correct? So you can have your pod affinity, anti-pod affinity, and your tension relation, everything you can do. And based on that, a scheduler will schedule your pod to a node. Then there's a second component that is called as worker nodes. So we talked about the master architecture and the slave architecture, correct? So within this worker node, there is a kubelet, an agent that runs on every worker node, and what it does, ensures containers in a pod are running as defined in the pod specification, correct? Then there is a kube proxy, which handles the network communication within the cluster. Container runtime, responsible for running containers. Examples include Docker, container, CRIO. So whatever the requirement for running your container, it will ensure that that particular software is in the place. Correct. So, and these are the key concepts in the Kubernetes architecture. If you want to get into deep, so I will be learning about the pod, services, namespace, volume, ingress, config map, secrets, all this. Correct. So yeah, that's it for today video. We will come up with more detail on the Kubernetes side as well, and we will be creating further more videos on different topics of the Kubernetes. So till the time, thank you. Bye.